chat window going again.
Yeah, the internet just like completely died.
We call that a digital dump.
Yeah, it's like when you guys have to like refresh your player. It's kind of like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but we're all good now.
Okay.
Because I refuse to give up. Okay, in segment 1. Now we're in segment 2. We're speaking with Greg Forman. He's a member of Cat Power, but more importantly, he's a person. I think he's an individual. Like, even though we have similarities in different ways and differences, there's like a kindred thing that I understand. Like, we're basically lifers.
Yep.
This is what we do and our interests. And he's at his friend's house right now in Philly, and his house is exactly like I would set up my house anyways. I don't know if it's bohemian or it's just eclectic. It's like dark.
Right, yeah.
We got some black. We're wearing black until he invented darker color.
I've been wearing black since the dark ages.
As much as I do, like, use pastiche and appropriate things and mix-mash them together to make my own blur, I just kind of want to outright rip off Paint It Darker from the 39 Clocks. Because that's just so great. I just love that. Instead of Paint It Black, Paint It Darker.
Yes, of course.
But I have so much respect for this unknown band from 1980 that I don't do it. But I don't think it's really ripping off because you can't copyright album titles, else Brian Wilson couldn't have Smile. Do you know how many people have registered Smile as a song title?
Really?
There's got to be like 37,000 songs at least copyrighted. You can't copyright the title. You can't copyright I Want to Hold Your Hand and say, you can't copyright a song title, period.
Do you remember, before we go back to what we were talking about before your influences, do you remember one of the first times we met? Do you remember what you said to me? You probably don't.
Thinking about it. What did I say?
Really great story. Well, I've had these sideburns for a while, and you were like, oh, you think those are sideburns? And you pulled out this picture. It was a photograph.
My passport.
Yeah, and you were like, check. You had some, like...
6-inch mutton chops.
Like old school, like...
General Reb.
Harry Ward.
Yeah.
And you were like, now these are sideburns. And then the next time we met, you said, it was at a Spaceman 3 show, like the reunion thing, and you were just trying to be funny, but you were like, what are you supposed to be, Ron Wood or something? And I was like, oh man, I don't know what to say.
Poor Ronnie.
Yeah.
You got your shit together more than him. We don't know what it's like. My favorite Rolling Stones story, one of them is they were staying in New York for a little bit of time, and Mick, at 54 or wherever it was, or back in the day, had hooked up some session at some, I don't know if it was Electric Land or whatever it was, session for the Stones. It was like 3 a.m. He came back to the Waldorf Astoria or where the fuck it was, and he like rings Charlie. He's like, oi, 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 where's my fucking drummer? On the house phone, and Charlie's like, it's 3 a.m. I'm sleeping, and...
Wait, sorry, hold on. That's your little site loading.
Okay, so check this out. He's like, where's my fucking drummer? Oi, oi, come down here, I got a session for us. And Charlie's like, it's 3 a.m. and I'm off work, whatever. Get your fucking ass down here. Where's my fucking drummer? And he's like, I'll be right down. Puts on his suit, his tie, goes all the way down, and Mick's like having a drink and waiting. He walks right up to him and just broke his nose. Just like one punch, and then walks right back in his room. Takes off his suit. And the other thing I love about Charlie, he's a junkie the whole time until like 8 years ago or something.
Is that true? I didn't know the Babylonian mythology, but...
He was very, very discreet. Okay, there's that part of it. I guess we found out the limit of your system. Looks like your Skype, the videos, it's cool. It's froze on a picture. The audio's there. So anyways, check this out. Yeah, from what I heard. The other thing that's really cool is I heard he's sketched every single hotel room he's ever been in since they had the group.
Oh, that makes sense.
But he doesn't feel like going out and party. He's always been married, had his gig. So he's just like, sits there quietly. Okay, I'm going to see if I can hit him up one more time. Are you there? Oh, yeah, we were there. Excellent.
I had to just turn the video off to get it back on.
Beautiful. This is the way we like it. Okay, so anyway.
You were talking about your...
growing up. Okay, so I obviously have musical aptitude. So that sets me a little bit different. I didn't ever think I could play music until I saw people playing garage music, and punk music was my folk music, up close music. Then I realized, because, I'd been listening to records. I'd had a record player since I was 3. That's when I started my record collection, physically going with my mom and picking out records nonstop. And I never thought I could play music. I wanted to take piano lessons. They wouldn't do it for me. My family are like, oh, you'll just get bored of it. And I'd inherited all these pianos from a family, stuff from the 1890s or whatever. And I just taught myself how to play. And they were just like...
That's so funny. That's exactly what I did too. Like, we never had, we were like super poor, and they got me some shitty guitar, and
you broke it.
No. I just started like trying to figure out, I don't know, like whatever it was, like Black Flag or Joy Division Ceremony or some sort of shit like that, but never really had a lesson. Never could. I don't really enjoy people that like learned how to play that way. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I've never even, and you could tell by a quick glance down iTunes. You would go, "Holy shit! This guy has 150 songs that are all in A." On the lower position A chord, how do you even do that? Because everybody's all. It's like when most people sit at the piano, they're like, "Ugh, what do you do with these keys? Everybody's already done." It's like, if you think of music in terms of 3 chords, anybody that shows me a 3-chord progression, I just laugh in their face. I'm like, I think the Cure and the Cult have you covered there. If you pick up any 3...
especially.
Yeah, I know. If you pick out any 3 chords, you're like, oh yeah, that's that Cult song. There's no way around it. They're like, that's what we do. The Ramones, it's like, okay, But what I'm saying is, like, when you listen to Elliott Smith's songs, knowing a little bit about... I've never looked at a whole guitar chord book. Once I learned the lower 7, kind of, just to make my fingers move from, like, the whole hand kind of C, like Neil Young C, kind of, where you play C, G, C. Once I learned how to flip those around from D to F to whatever, then I was just like, I'll just make up all the chords like anybody else did. All the blues stuff, and what's interesting is Jeff Levitz, who was in Warlocks for a while and played with a lot of people, played with me, he was a real fan of the black stuff, which I've never been into. I love black music, but not in the same way like Brian Jones had an interest for all music, obviously, because he brought a lot to the table. But his first and foremost love, what blew him away, was black music. I never wanted to play the blues specifically, but I'm down with folk music all the way because it's just me.
Right, of course.
But even if it's black folk or what you would call a combination of the two, like Jimmy Rogers kind of melts into all those things. The slide guys, none of those guys existed before Soul Hoopy came out. There was no slide players in America, period, until D.W. Griffith fucking made an invitation for Soul Hoopy to come from Hawaii to come out and play on the sets, period, of the silent movies in Hollywood. And that's where it all started. There was no such thing as country slide. There was no black guys playing any of it. They picked that up from white people, period, because those guys picked it up. The Okies went back and forth to Hollywood. That's how John Wayne got there from Oklahoma, playing in a band. He was in the Sons of the Young Pioneers. Famous band. So, a lot of people don't understand a lot of the history. Anyways, so when I saw punk rockers, and I was like, these guys are fucking idiots. I know for a fact, that I got whatever they got.
Right, of course.
Which was a little bit different. The one thing I identified with the punk rockers was the idea that they're like, yeah, Led Zeppelin is a bad thing. This is not music. This is something else. This is theater. This is a ritual. This is all these different things. But it isn't specifically like you're going to grow up one day and be in Led Zeppelin. Because it's not for that. These people have a manager. You're not going to grow up one day and practice hard and get this fucking crook manager that's going to take over the business and change it.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how hard you work. In fact, if you don't get that guy, you probably won't be around in 10 years. Or something, it's some weird...
I mean, there's so many bands we both probably like. Like, I just got a friend request recently from the dude who was in that band July.
Wow, yeah, those guys are cool. They're my friends, Peter Cook.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
And, like, how great is Dandelion Seeds, but they're not ever going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Well... yeah, that's a real shame. But you know what? There's a lot of shit in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I played there. I was a guest early on there. Okay? I've been inside the private tour, all the shit there. Okay? And check this out. One of our friends from San Francisco, some absolute nut gearhead, has been in there and pointed out all the stuff in their collection that they bought at auction that's absolutely fake. He's like, you said this is the Zombies keyboard. Well, here's a picture of it every single time they've ever played, and this is none of them. Just like straight up. And just because you have Eric Clapton or George Harrison's Strat guitar, they had 5,000 of them. Let me tell you, I've been hanging out before with Kirk Hammett. He's got like 3 semi-trucks full of guitars, and he could not tell you what they sound like. He never had a chance. He doesn't even care. They just throw this shit at you. And when you're at that level, it's crazy. Okay, back to being motivated, and then we'll get it back to you because people will hear this story. So that got me into that. The thing about the punk stuff was, in early punk, it was about everything. And that's why psychedelic furs were considered punk, even though they're not at all. It was about this whole approach, and that's why the Violent Femmes were considered punk at a time. And they have nothing to do with that. It's just this weird thing that it was all-inclusive to this outsider bohemian thing that didn't have a name. So it brought in the mods and the people who were into just doing acid, dressing like a fag or whatever, tripping out, going to the Cramps shows, when they were like 79, 80, and hanging out, listening to Rolling Stones records, but hanging out with these people and this youth culture explosion.
Back when you would actually get...
beat up.
The underground was co-opted, and you would actually get your life threatened for being a freak.
We got chased down the streets with hammers, going to shows, every single thing. People, even when we first came to Pittsburgh to play, like in '96 or whatever, people were like, these guys came up, these like construction workers, they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" Walking down the street, and we're like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this bar right down the street, I guess, because we want to drink. We've been driving for a couple hours." He's like, "Oh, you don't want to walk around here?" We're like, "What are you talking about? Like, you don't want to walk around here." One of those other side of the tracks things.
Yeah.
In a real rough area. I'm like, dude, I go fucking everywhere on the planet. Trust me. And they're like, okay, suit yourself. The brothers never had a problem with me and Jeff Davies. We scored everywhere.
Yeah.
People are like, there's something different about these guys because how could they come walking into the Gardens projects in Chicago looking for smack, They're the only 2 white people for 20 miles, Literally that kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing about that particular thing is like you have no fear at that point.
You're just a fucking crazed demon.
Yeah, that's how I was. I would go into places I definitely had no business being, and just to... I mean, Dennis too. We're both, we're both
drinking and all that stuff.
Just whatever, and to them, you're another paying customer. So.
Once they figure out what's going on. They know the score, man. It's been like that. Jerry Lee Lewis used to sneak in the back door of the jute joint. That's how he learned to play Boogie Woogie Black stuff.
Totally.
He left his house and went in, and they were like, "You're cool, man." There's like people, do you know what I mean? There's like people that you describe, you're like, "Oh, well, that black guy," and then there's just like another one of your guys, and when it gets on that level, it works both ways with everybody. You stop being the silly white kid at the Cotton Club in Harlem or something, the original jazz enthusiast, whatever, and you start being like this guy who's really into it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like all the people, like back in the day, the segregated days when you had to buy Dem Race records from below the counter, and
well, people don't understand where all those blues records came from. Records from.
You see this? You see those fireworks?
Yeah.
There's like crazy, like Philly street kids, like blowing up shit outside.
Selling dope and blowing shit up.
Selling dope and blowing shit up outside the window.
You gotta yell, "Can I get that with whiz?" Say, Greg, let me hit you to the lingo. If you're gonna yell at them, say, "Hey, yous! Hey, yous guys! Hey, yous!" Yeah, double plurals. Okay, so the punk thing got me into it, but I was always into psychedelic music nonstop because the records were around the house. The next door neighbor had them. They'd outgrown. I lived next door to a record collector. It ended up gave me his whole garage full. So it'd be like any of these super fans that we walk into and they got like 20,000 discs or something. You know those people? It would be like one of those people being like 45 years old and just giving it to you, their whole collection. Just going, fuck it, I'm an adult now. So then I had all those records. And we used to start bands. We had bands like Spaceman 3. We got all this shit on video. It's amazing. We're trying to hunt it down. Every now and then they dig something up. But we would be doing that. You know, I listened to the same music those guys did. Probably even more of it. Maybe not because of England, but literally at the same time. But those guys were in boys' school. We were already making bands. Like, we were already playing gigs at people's houses when we were like 11 years old. Every time somebody's parents we knew were going on vacation, that we would start a band. Just using older brother's equipment.
So who do you prefer now? Is it Sonic Boom or Jason Pierce?
Jason's working on his new record now. I like hanging out with Pete's being really cool. You know what's weird is all over the world when we're playing, Pete at a certain point will just walk up on stage and start making noise. He's like, feels like he has an open invitation, which he does, but I always just turn around and all of a sudden he's playing all the feedback.
Well, he's definitely has amazing sound.
Will plays with me. You know, Will, who's the bass player from that group.
Yeah.
From both of them.
Recurring, right?
He played on the record. He started that. He was in the clique. He was in also the first two Spiritualized.
Yeah, I'm only friends with Jason, so I don't know Pete, but
Pete's
Jason's
temperamental
good.
and weird, but Pete's really knowledgeable. I guess this is where you catch him.
Yeah.
You don't want to play music with him, though. That's for sure.
Well, all I know is that we played that show with Spiritualized and Nick Cave at the Hollywood Bowl, and Jason was like, we hung out all night, and he was like, I've got morphine in my room if you'd like to come up. You know, he was like pretty...
He's a lifer.
We just talked about music, and then just a few weeks ago he sent me, this is how nice he is, he sent me an email just to invite me to that Radio City Music Hall thing where they did...
They had trouble filling it up. We're not dissing on Jason. I don't get involved with those sides.
Yeah, well, that's probably good.
Well, you know, I know the inside and outside from every single direction. I know every single person that's in that group, or in all those groups, except for Kate. I only talked to Kate a couple times. You know, she was just really like a...
Right.
And there was a weird situation, you know, from the beginning of Jason and I getting on because Greg Shaw, you know, was the one who was bringing them to the world, and Greg ended up with all those discs, so Jason never got paid for his whole side of Playing with Fire from Greg. Never made a penny. So the whole time Pete collected that stuff with whatever nefarious deals through Tang. So Jason's always been like, fuck you guys, you know, kind of in a way.
Yeah, but he's such a, like, if you know...
Well, let me tell you a story about Jason really quick, and this might change your mind. They were to play on the main stage right after us of Pyramid Stage of Glastonbury.
Oh, man. Okay.
And when they heard that we were playing, they said there's no way in hell we're following up those guys.
Well, that's weird.
And so, you know what the Glastonbury people said? There's a tent with your name on it, buddy. See you later. So it was so that it became me and Leonard Cohen headlining.
Yeah, but that doesn't sound bad at all.
I mean, I wasn't headlining. It was Glastonbury headlines. You know, it's all how you look at it.
I mean, Leonard Cohen, that's a pretty good company.
I know Lorca, his daughter, and he's great. He's a great guy. I know them a little bit. More than that, as a person, man, you gotta appreciate his commitment to like doing the Zen thing, chilling out. Took care of his kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He got completely fucked. He doesn't even talk shit about Judy Collins ripping off very much about Marianne. He just hints at it on a record cover. Mm-hmm. He's just like, oh, due to a mistake, and when they filed this, you know, I don't own the copyrights to my biggest song. You know, like, who really goes, hey, I've got to publish this new one. I'm going to play it on the floor. Here's the chords, and you guys write that down and put it in the publisher so I can get paid, okay? Oh, no problem. I'll just write my own name down on this publishing form for this song. You know, like, oh, it was just a mistake in clerical. Like, I don't write, you know. And that's what Paul Simon, those guys were, you know, Paul Simons didn't write all that shit. His job was taking those songs between publishers to artists. He got to hear the stuff that was presented to publishers. He just nicked that shit left and right. He started out nicking black people's music when he was Tom and Jerry and all that shit, and he went on. He's just like the Beatles and just like the Stones. They are cover bands that could fucking arrange and rewrite ideas. The Beatles did not have time to go check out the new fuzz sound, to come up with the very next record 2 months later with a totally different psychedelic sound that they didn't invent. They didn't have time to go see the bands or anything. That shit was taken to them because I know people personally that had their own agents and managers trying to get record deals in the 60s, and it was like, no, dude, we already have The Who, we already have the Stones, we already have the Beatles. There is no you. You know, and then you got cokeheads or whatever, like Andrew Lou Goldman, who just sign a great band, a reasonably great band, Small Faces, and make you go nowhere.
Yeah, but man, that fucking, those records, those early Small Faces records they're paralyzing to this day, you know?
It is paralyzing because there's a suspension of disbelief, though. See, and that's where, when it goes back to the other thing about me with punk rock, and when I saw those people and how they approached it and what it was really about, that it was about, we don't need your fucking permission to do any of this.
Right. It's true.
And so that was the whole thing. That's where the suspension of disbelief comes in, because you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I can be whoever I want to be. I'm going to dress whoever I want to. I don't care. Like, I'm going to stand up to it. Tell them 100 are dead. That's where that whole theater thing comes in.
Well, it's weird. Like, me and Dennis actually were talking today about how, you know, surface level shit aside, like, music, I like the presentation of it. Like,
there's a lot of different ways you can fiddle with it, like photography, man. You could choose different cameras, lenses, presentation, everything.
Well, what I think is weird in LA, especially what's going on now, like in music scenes, is like, it's like the music and the look is just lazy. It's like.
But you know what? That's what. You know what? They're getting people. You have to understand these styles. Remember when baggy jeans came in? You know what that was about? Everybody in America is getting fat, so you can't have 100 sizes of these jeans, and you want everybody to buy your product. So what do? You change the fashion so everybody wears fat people's clothes, even the skinny people, and then you make one size of clothes.
You know what I heard is I've heard that the reason that those gangster people dress like
jail.
No, because they stopped changing at the era that their dads left them, so they look like large babies.
No, that doesn't quite work out. But the over. Well, a lot of the style comes from being in jail, where you do get one size of clothes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no shoelaces and all that crap. But anyways, all of it, the cholo stuff. The other thing that I can think about, slackers are bugging me because, I know how hard you work. I got a hint about it. We were just laughing about these English bands going, 20 gigs, that's impossible, whatever. We're building pyramids, and they're like, You know what I mean?
Well, we did build a hen. Have you built a hen?
Yeah, somebody did. We adopted a hinge. Everybody knows London is Rome. Everybody who's smart.
Yeah, right.
It is. Rome was sacked by you know what? Rome was sacked, but all that money and all that power, that world power, did not get sacked. They just moved it.
Of course.
Fact. They just left it.
Here's a question for you. In your travels, meeting all these sorts of crazy people, have you ever been like starstruck by anybody?
You know, I have an early. You have to understand, when I started gigging, I was 10 and 11. Me and the Showbecks and stuff would go out. We would sneak into every show. You couldn't get in under 21 in California. And the bouncers, there was a club called the Cuckoo's Nest right by my house. And that was the original Southern California biggest punk rock club. That's where the Damned first played, Magazine, 999, every single band you could think of from that era, Buzzcocks, every single band played there, period. The Jam, everybody. I mean, it was nonstop. This place was happening. There were riots all the time. And the guys that were doing all the security and the guy who owned it, Jerry Roach, thought it was really funny that these, no matter what they tried, these kids kept in. Because we would just hide, under a car and just jet through the door the minute it was open.
Right.
And then we'd be jumping off the stages. There's pictures of us doing flips into people on record. It's like crazy. I'm in the Minor Threat videos, the first time they ever played on the West Coast. I'm in all that shit with my friends.
So, who got you speechless before?
It's never been that way. The weird thing about it is, like, I love that movie Sunset Boulevard. And let's look at Norma Desmond sitting in her mansion with her butler, who used to be the director, who feels so bad about her fall from the heights, of Mount Olympus, or whatever, Orpheus, or whatever it is, right? No, it's Icarus, flew too close to the sun. Whatever. And he's writing this fan mail just to keep her up. It reminds me of Courtney Taylor or any of these people that separate themselves. They're so cool. Like, my wife bumped into Kid Rock next door at the club. He was in town to do some press. And he's like hiding behind the bar with security, and nobody's even trying to talk to him, but he's got this whole...
Right.
It just seems so sad, right?
It does.
He's just a little man. He looked like a giant because he fucking had a midget to stand next to. He's just a tiny little fucking dude. It's true, my wife is bigger than Kid Rock, and my wife is not a big girl. Nothing wrong with that,
No, of course.
But it's weird.
What about,
She's like our size,
What's that? Yeah, he's just saying that, like... Yeah, he said he's small.
He's like this, if you could see. He's small.
What's up with, how do you feel about Paul Weller these days?
Shit, I want to show you, but I have my other Vox 12 string here. He signed my 12 string.
Man.
When we played at the Milweg in Amsterdam, and he was playing in the other room, and my crew used to work for him. Like, I got all the big guys. So whatever, like one of the guys that one of my Aussie guys that I work with, Mole, used to be his guitar tech. And then just goes, I'll bring him over here right now. Just sign your fucking 12 string. And I was like, Paul, I'll never hit eBay with this, but between me and you, this 12 string, this Vox Phantom with built-in wah-wah, is a 10,000 pound guitar now, easy.
Right.
And he's like, I know, Anton.
Yeah, man, I gotta have a moment of silence for Weller.
He's cool. You know what? There's like a weird thing. What do you mean a moment of silence? Is he dead?
No.
That nigga's dead. Fool.
We just started something.
You ain't gonna wake him up. The nigga dead. Moment of silence.
Yeah, my old band, Delta 72, we played at that club in Minneapolis, like
400. First Avenue. Okay, the other one. I only deal with the Sullivans.
We played in the small room, and he played in the big room, and we were doing a sound check, playing like some Booker T and the MGs thing, and he was cool. He's just sitting there smoking, watching, kind of grooving.
Do you know Hannah? Do you know Hannah Moorhead, my old roommate?
Yeah, we were just talking on this. She's great.
Yeah. So Hannah bought Donald Duck Dunn's bass, one of those old ones.
Whoa.
Like, like a 1969 jazz or 60s jazz, Fender P jazz.
Wow.
That thing is worth like, you know what I mean? That's like a car. I just saw one for sale for like the matching set of one of those with the Jagmaster guitar, same as the bass.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them on eBay, and the opening bid was £59,000 for just the 2 guitars.
Yeah, now see, for me, we were talking about, if anyone wasn't here before, we were talking about black music and how, you know, a lot of the bands kind of bit off that. But for me, Booker T and the MGs was like...
Mixed band, great band.
So important in a lot of ways. Like
that's the main one.
Yeah.
That man ran his business, man. He could have had that place burned down just for fucking having people congregate on a daily basis.
Exactly. And not to mention they were motherfucker players. They could play like...
That's what it was about, man. That's why there was white dudes and black dudes. It wasn't about any other thing except fucking playing.
Exactly. Amen.
So that's what I'm into too. More so than I was. When I was a kid, you know, every time I could get the lineup with everybody with this like nice bowl cuts or in all my gear and stuff and everybody looking sharp, I thought we were going to take over the world. But that never means shit.
Well, I will admit though, and maybe some of these other people on here, I read something about you guys. This was like, I mean, it had to be in the beginning of you all playing, and like, you all were wearing white, and I was like, who the fuck is this band? They look crazy. They look amazing. I got to figure out who this band is, you know. And then I moved to LA for a little while and played with George and Sophie. Remember them?
My ex-wife who's dead.
Right, exactly. I was in that band, The Minstrels.
Sure.
With those two.
At my house, probably when I was on tour in my studio.
Yeah.
At my studio in Silver Lake, up there. Echo Park. I mean, Vestal.
Right.
That was a great house. You know why I picked that one? That driveway was insane. That hill was insane. But you know why I picked that? Because junkies can't climb hills. Not with a TV set. That's a fact about LA. The weirdest thing is when we started moving into that neighborhood, we figured that out so quick because there's white people living there since 1890 in those houses from 1890 all over in there, right? That stuff never went the opposite direction where it completely turned Hispanic gang warfare to the max. Like, you would get shot for sure, dead in Echo Park, period. You could not go. But you go up 100 fucking feet up a hill, no Mexicans, and they don't climb hills.
Yeah, wow.
Really weird. Really weird about Hollywood that way, and it's still that way. All the way up that one, right until you get to the end of Echo Park, and then it blips over into, like, you know, Eagle Rock and all that stuff, those hills. The minute you go up in those hills, it's just normal people, and that never changes. But the houses on the ground floor, they change. Of course, you know, like Echo Park Boulevard and all that stuff, that's changed, but that's all it's been since I was there.
Yeah, well, when did you get there?
Well, you know, we started fucking around with trying to get a house like in the 95 and all that stuff. But, you know, it was like me and Greg Shaw in the area. There was like, you know, I'm trying to think. Millie's was there.
Millie's, the little breakfast place.
Yeah. You know, there wasn't that much going on. But before that, you know, we were fucking around in L.A. when Runyon Canyon, you know, people go walking there. That was Errol Flynn's mansion, and we used to go break into that.
Wow.
Like the big movie star park where they're always taking pictures of people jogging up that mountain or whatever. It's like the walk. Right. We were doing that before it was safe to even go there. It was just gangbangers. I saved a girl from a whole gang. 45 dudes were raping this girl. And I just walked right up to him and I said, what if that was your mom or your fucking sister? And it just, the tone just changed. But it was one of those things. Like, I was with these guys. I must have been like 14 or 15. And I was like, dude, we got to do something. And they were like, dude, that is a real gang. This is real insane. And I was like, well, fuck this. You know? And it just turned out stupid little drunk me. Or well, I wasn't really drunk, but you know what I mean? When you're drinking and you're all pumped up, the whole thing of being a teenage party wild man. I just walked up and happened to say the right thing that just, like, stops, you know, it makes you think. Like, only you can prevent forest fires.
Right.
Or did that one tier at the side of the freeway that makes everybody stop tossing their burgers? Like the Iron Eyes Cody?
Yes, exactly. There's the lone tier or the crying bear or something.
Okay, so I got bit by the music bug, blah, blah, blah. The weird thing that I knew because I studied with Greg is how they manufactured all the shit. What I wanted to say early on is, back in the 60s, the coolest thing was the guys who ran these labels, even Bob Keane, I recorded for him, and he did Delphi. He's the one that discovered, Sam Cooke. He discovered Barry White. He's the guy that did La Bamba and I Fought the Law and Dick Dale, all the surf bands, the Ventures, the Safaris, every single thing you can think of. And, the thing that Bob would do is if he discovered somebody like Richie Valens, the unlikely Hispanic Elvis, he would go, this is talent, I got to go for this. But he'd also would go, well, these kids don't know what they want, so I'm going to make this other guy into something. So there was like a 50-50 on that. Not just going, well, these people don't know anything, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just have my publisher pick, we're going to make deals, and we'll charge the Rolling Stones a bunch of money to have Subo cover Wild Horses, and then that'll go out as marketing for their new Wild Horses EP on iTunes, and they have a fake people don't understand that the X Factor and America's Got Talent is not a real contest. They have ringers in there. All those people have been selected. They do not know how to market them. This is the solution. The songs they sing are already chosen. It's publishing deals. 100%. They have no way to keep this stuff in circulation. Nobody wants Elton John, all this crap. So that's how they do it. They get Lou Reed to sit on there, and he's everybody's hero. That guy's a douchebag, and get him to sit on TV. Like he's like emotionally available to be a judge of a contest. He's like, okay, everything I think they sing it the same. Hey, Subo, why don't you try it this way? I always like to imagine Lou Reed and Laurie Anderson at breakfast, okay? So she's all like, Lou, 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 Lou. Oh, Lou Reed, Lou, 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 Lou. Hi, Lou, 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 Lou. There's something I'd like to know. No, 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 no. I'm okay. And he's like, Laurie. Oh, Lord, you got to stop this shit right now because you're making me mad. Lord. Like their conversation is just like their cliche. That would be funny, right?
Right.
Saturday Night Live if they had any balls, right?
That is actually. I'm dying over here. This is amazing.
Have I taken up too much of your time? Well, there you go, right there.
This. Oh yeah.
God.
This is what I'm playing tonight. This kind of shit.
That's fucking rad.
Betty Davis. Miles' wife, estranged.
Yeah.
Supposedly slept with Hendrix and disappeared into obscurity.
Wow.
I'm just pulling out crazy records right now.
Imagine their breakup.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I bet. My friend took pictures. One of my friends, Nancy Friedberg, is this great photographer and just cool person. She's like one of my spiritual best buddies, and in the Bay Area. And she once did a photo shoot of Miles. I think it was Miles or Taj Mahal. I was looking at a picture in her house, and just as is, like very matter of fact, like Ilford 5 black and white photo.
Right.
Coal black. Those two guys, man, their real actual complexion is kind of rare for America. Everybody is like really like milk chocolate. But when you get around like real like equatorial Africans, it's like shocking how dark skin tone can actually be. Because you don't even notice in America, you think being around black people, it's like they're fucking 5 shades lighter. It's not even the same pigmentation.
No, you're right. We saw them.
And he's black.
Me and Sean saw this lady who's beautiful. I think it was in Australia, and she was super dark. But yeah, I wasn't used to seeing someone that dark. It was kind of beautiful, actually.
Yeah, I'm okay with people, like. I mean, first of all, it's really weird coming from where I come from. You just got to trust me. Coming from Newport Beach, California, I've met more white people that I hate than anybody. So everybody pretty much understands. Like if I say something where I'm coming from, more like Lenny Bruce or something.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Can.
Here's a good one for.
I'm in the land of can.
Yes, you are. Let's see what else.
Hey, wait 1 second, Greg. Since we're sharing, let me see if you can see up there on the wall. You know who Hildegard Neff is? Have you heard this record up here? Let me take it down for you.
All right.
Okay, like, get a look at this one. Because you got to buy this one. This is Can backing her. This is Hildegard Neff. This is Can backing her up.
Is it great? It must be great if it's
It is fucking good. It's like this real, like, raspy. If you can imagine a cross between Marlene Dietrich and Bette Midler, but German in German. No, I'm talking about when she started out. Do you know what I'm talking about? She's like an entertainer.
I was thinking of her in like the later years.
Well, you know, she's just a fucking, like, a presence, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Barbra Streisand or any of those chicks, you know, when they walk out on a stage and they start doing their thing, it's like they stop being women or anything. It's just like this thing. This enormous dark shape.
You know this one?
Yeah, I do. That's great.
That's pretty good. I mean, I'm just looking through records. I'm not... It's like a little show.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think this is cool. I hope it's not...
Boring people?
Boring to other people.
Let's see what the chat room says.
Yeah, what do they say?
They say Can's the shit. And at least one person says, nah, dude, I'm loving it.
I went to this party, this private like little mod party, and this dude was there. It was pretty.
Yeah, Kim's called me a couple times, like sometimes to open up for him or something, like at Silver Lake Lounge, and hey, would you open up for us at Spaceland? And I was like, first of all,
he doesn't understand.
My ex-members could fill up the place. Second of all, that would be kind of a waste of us playing because we could fill up a 8,000 place. I mean, and third of all, I'm not going to hang out with your fucking jokers that you've been doing K with while you try and run through the trip or something. He's all right, you know. But
so
then,
who are you grooving on these days? That's like
a Seven Golly.
Huh?
Who am I? Like a leader or a band?
No, I just mean like musically, and like say the last couple of years. Is there anybody that you would want to
sign?
You know, or just that you're into, that you're grooving on.
You gotta really understand. Like I have to get so far into my trip to have it to be legitimate for my own thing.
Well, like I noticed that you
producing some stuff.
Well, like we both are fans of we're Dead Skeletons. You know, that's new.
I've named them.
Right, exactly.
Well, I'm not exactly a fan. I'm doing this shit.
Right.
I just put it out.
That's like Jan and...
No, it's Nani and Henrik Bjornsson and Ryan and Aslan.
Right.
And sometimes like Ari and some of our friends in Iceland screwing around. And whatever. You know, I was high in the studio and writing stuff. And I got into this trip where, you know, I actually enjoy making up the stuff and having other people do it so I can just check it out and watch my own ideas really detached. Like, I've written songs for Kurt Heasley to sing and for Elliot, all kinds of people to sing. Okay, I'm yelling too much?
Uh-oh, we have a freeze.
You know how hard it is for me. Well, I guess I said the magic word. Well, we don't know. Let's cut to a song while we're seeing if Greg has ended this or not. I'm going to go ahead and save this really quick, though. No, yeah, I have to. I forgot.